Reparative description at its core exists to combat past, present, and future censorship efforts and ensure history is told in an accurate and respectful manner. Reparative description, according to the Society for American Archivists, is the practice of repairing archival and library description to remove data that excludes or mischaracterizes marginalized people and replace it with more accurate and respectful descriptions. Given the definition that the American Library Association uses for censorship is the suppression of ideas and information that some individuals, groups, or government officials find objectionable or dangerous, it can be seen that at the core of reparative description is the purpose to combat, prevent past, present, and future censorship in archival descriptions. Combating censorship through reparative description has been going on for some time, making it important to take time to review what efforts currently exist and what areas the profession could improve upon. The University of Reno started a project in 2020 after being sent home due to the pandemic, going through their collection and finding where women are identified by their husband's name, and taking the time to alter the description to identify her by her own name. Given how important names are to us in life, it is only right to take time to identify women by their names in history records. As museums and related institutions move to decolonize their collections, there are many strategies being used to better reflect the cultures and peoples that items originate from, as well as be more honest about how they came to be in the museum. Reparative description is a significant part of this process for items that are remaining in the museum and its collections. Many institutions that have taken up reparative descriptive efforts, including museums, have done it as a result of observing injustice and unrest in their communities. Colonization is something that many archives and institutions have to face. Anything other than a head-on, transparent, and respectful approach that puts making the choices of their predecessors is choosing to continue the censorship of the story of their collections and the stories of the people the items rightfully belong to. The Michigan Library and History Center has acknowledged the impact of colonization in the state and has taken efforts to show respect to indigenous communities that have existed in Michigan since before it was colonized. They, like all institutions, likely have more that could be done, but what they do very well is making sure that the history of the items in their collection are told accurately and with respect for and in collaboration with the communities that they originate from. Efforts are being taken to combat erasure of previously omitted groups, especially the stories of people of color and ethnic minorities, but there are some stories that are still being lost. One major example of people being left out of the archives with minimal efforts being made to combat this erasure is the story of people with disabilities. The disabled community is one of many that still face erasure from archives and history. This is not to say that they are completely omitted, but that their disability is often ignored or their experiences related to their disability are minimized or even undocumented. The erasure of disabled communities from archives is a form of censorship that takes the stance that these voices and histories hold no value to the dominant socioeconomic class, and this censorship is a continuation of the dismissal of experiences and injustices these people face in life. Warning labels are a blurry area at first glance, but after further investigation, it becomes clear that putting content warnings on materials inherently places the libraries and archives in the position of taking a side in what version of the story is considered offensive and whose offense is worthy of validating. Institutions that put warning labels on items that are going to undergo review for reparative description may be acting with good intentions, but these warning labels undermine the archive's goal of allowing people to learn from the information and to think critically about what they are engaging with. Reparative description at its core has three main goals. First, mitigate harm caused by archival description. Second, create a positive framework for future finding aid creation and revision. Third, enhance the opportunity for community input and feedback. Each of these goals serves as intentions for when and how reparative description is initiated and handled, but these goals also serve as the basis for future prevention of censorship. The goal is not perfection, but constant improvement in the quality and inclusion of the descriptions moving forward. Each of these goals can serve as a framework for reparative description, but also for taking a proactive approach to preventing and combating existing censorship in archival collections. For these efforts, there needs to be a shift in how institutions initiate and handle reparative description. Luke and Mizota asked whether archives felt reparative description was sustainable, and 18 of the 19 institutions that were interviewed agreed that reparative description is sustainable, with 15 adding that this sustainability is somewhat conditional. Many institutions believe that reparative description would be more sustainable if it was able to transition away from a project-based approach to a more consistent and ongoing part of archival work. People and perspectives have been censored for centuries and continue to be, making these efforts for reparative description a necessary and ongoing process that has no quick, definable, attainable completion. Reparative description exists to combat censorship both past, present, and future. With archives and museums and libraries taking efforts to combat censorship in their collections across the globe, it is important to take a moment to appreciate at home where censorship is being combated. To the right, you see the pledge that the Michigan History Center has taken to recognize the indigenous tribes and their histories in their displays, collections, and descriptions. The information in this presentation and accompanying paper can be found at these sources. Images taken by Sydney Hemp.